Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving into another essential math skill, ordering of fractions. What exactly does ordering fractions mean? It simply means arranging fractions in ascending or descending order. Ascending order means from smallest to biggest, while descending order means from biggest to smallest. There are three different kind of fractions that we can be told to arrange in either ascending or descending order. The first one is fractions with the same numerators. Then fractions with the same denominators. Then we also have fractions that have different numerators and denominators. So we are going to dive in and take them one at a time. Let's start with fractions with the same numerator. When arranging fractions with the same numerators, the fraction with the smallest denominator is the biggest fraction, while the fraction with the biggest denominator is the smallest fraction. I'll take that again. When arranging fractions with the same numerator, the fraction with the smallest denominator is the biggest fraction, while the fraction with the biggest denominator is the smallest fraction. Let's take some examples. Example 1. Arrange 3 over 5, 3 over 4, 3 over 7, 3 over 11, 3 over 9 in ascending order. As you can see, all of these fractions have the same numerators. So, if we are to arrange in ascending order, which is from the smallest to the biggest, the smallest fraction here will be the one that has the biggest denominator. In that case, the smallest fraction is 3 over 11, followed by 3 over 9, followed by 3 over 7, followed by 3 over 5, followed by 3 over 4. So I have simply just arranged these fractions in ascending order. Let's take another example. Arrange 1 over 6, 1 over 4, 1 over 7, 1 over 11, 1 over 9 in descending order. Descending order simply means from the biggest to the smallest. So in that case, the biggest fraction here is the one that has the smallest denominator. How do I know this? Because all of them have the same numerator. So the one that has the smallest denominator is the biggest fraction. In that case, we have 1 over 4 as the biggest fraction, followed by 1 over 6, followed by 1 over 7, followed by 1 over 9, then 1 over 11. So I have arranged my fractions in descending order. Let's go into fractions with the same denominators now. When arranging fractions with the same denominators, the fraction with the biggest numerator is the biggest fraction, while the fraction with the smallest numerator is the smallest fraction. I'll take that again. When arranging fractions with the same denominators, the fraction with the biggest numerator is the biggest fraction, while the fraction with the smallest numerator is the smallest fraction. Let's take some examples. Arrange 4 over 11, 7 over 11, 3 over 11, 1 over 11, 5 over 11 in ascending order. Ascending order means from the smallest to the biggest. How do I identify the smallest fraction here? Go back to the rule. The fraction that has the smallest numerator is the smallest fraction. So in that case, the smallest fraction here is just 1 over 11, followed by 3 over 11, followed by 4 over 11, then 5 over 11, and lastly, we have 7 over 11 as the biggest fraction. So I have arranged these fractions in ascending order. Let's take another example on this. Arrange 7 over 9, 5 over 9, 8 over 9, 1 over 9, 4 over 9 in descending order, that is from the biggest to the smallest. Take note, the biggest fraction here, since all of them have the same denominator, the biggest fraction is the one that has the biggest numerator. In that case, our biggest fraction is 8 over 9, followed by 7 over 9, followed by 5 over 9, followed by 4 over 9, and lastly, we'll have 1 over 9. So I have simply arranged my fraction in descending order, that is from the biggest to the smallest. Now, lastly, let's talk about fractions with different numerators and different denominators. Now, this is the commonest kind of question you will see under ordering of fraction. When arranging fractions with different numerators and denominators, first, find the LCM of the denominators, then express each fraction as equivalent fraction using the LCM. Let's take some examples so that you can get this. Arrange 4 over 5, 1 over 2, 1 over 4, 9 over 10 in descending order. So I have a video on LCM, you can check it out. The link will be dropped in the description. Now, if you want to find the LCM of the denominators here, the LCM of 5, 2, 4, and 10 is just simply 20. So this is what I'm going to do. I will rewrite the four fractions, the denominators, using 20 as the denominator. So I have rewritten the four fractions with a denominator of 20. Now, what can I multiply by 5 to get 20? That's 4. So I will multiply the numerator as well by 4, and that will give me 16. What would I multiply by 2 to get 20? That's 10. I will multiply the numerator as well by 10. So 1 times 10 is 10. What will I multiply by 4 to get 20? That's 5. I will multiply the numerator as well by 5. And that will give me 1 times 5. 10 times what will give me 22. So the numerator as well, 9 times 2 will be 18. So I have written the equivalent of the four fractions to be 16 over 20, 10 over 20, 5 over 20, and 18 over 20. Now, all of them have the same denominator. So the previous rule will apply here. The fraction with the biggest numerator is the biggest fraction, while the fraction with the smallest numerator here will now become the smallest fraction. So we are told to arrange in ascending order, that is from the smallest to the biggest. Now, the smallest fraction here is 5 over 20, which is the same thing as 1 over 4. So I'll be writing down 1 over 4. Followed by 10 over 20, which is the same thing as 1 over 2. So I'll be writing down 1 over 2. Followed by 16 over 20, which is the same thing as 4 over 5. So I'll be writing down 4 over 5. And lastly, we have 18 over 20, which is the same thing as 9 over 10. So I have simply arranged my fractions in ascending order. Let's take another example. Arrange 5 over 16, 3 over 8, 1 over 4, and 3 over 2 in descending order. Descending order means from the biggest to the smallest. Now, because the numerator and denominators are different, we have to find the LCM of the denominators. And if you go into your jotter and look for the LCM of 16, 8, 4, and 2, you will find out that your LCM is simply 16. So I will rewrite all the fraction with a denominator of 16. Now, what will I multiply by 16 to get 16? Just 1. So it means that 5 multiplied by 1, 2 will give me 5. So 5 over 16 is the same thing as 5 over 16. Now, 8. What would I multiply by 8 to get 16? That's 2. So I will multiply the numerator by 2, and that will be 3 times 2, which is 6. What would I multiply by 4 to get 16? That's 4. So I will multiply the numerator by 4. 1 times 4 and will give me 4. So it means that 1 over 4 is the same as 4 over 16. They are equivalent. Now, what would I multiply by 2 to get 16? That's 8. 2 times 8 is 16. I will multiply the numerator as well by 8. 3 times 8 will give me 24. Now, I have rewritten all my fractions with their equivalent. To get my biggest fraction, because we are arranging in descending order, that is from the biggest to the smallest, the one that has the biggest numerator now is the biggest fraction, which is 24, and that will be 3 over 2. followed by 6, which is 3 over 8, followed by 5, which is 5 over 16, and lastly we have 4, which is 1 over 4. So I have just written these fractions in descending order. Let's have a quick review on everything that we have learned today. Firstly, when arranging fractions with the same numerator, the fraction with the smallest denominator is the biggest fraction, while the fraction with the biggest denominator is the smallest fraction. Secondly, when arranging fractions with the same denominator, the fraction with the biggest numerator is the biggest fraction, while the fraction with the smallest numerator is the smallest fraction. And lastly, when arranging fractions with different numerators and denominators, first find the LCM of the denominator, then express each fraction as equivalent fraction using the LCM. Here are some questions for you to practice. You can drop the answer to these questions on the chat and I'll be glad to see them. Thank you for watching my video. See you next time.